rectifiers. Okay, so what are rectifiers? Rectifiers is the topic that we are going to deal in this class. And what are these rectifiers? Rectifiers are basically those which enable conversion of an AC input, alternating current input, to a DC. Okay, so these are the basically when we say DC, I will clarify that point. Okay, it is a direct current. So more specifically, when we talk about it is unipolar current, which means you will understand shortly when we deal with the circuit, which means you are having current in only along one direction. Okay, you don't have bipolar, which means in the positive half cycle the current goes from let us say, okay, so it is like this. If I have a input supply which alternates between positive and negative, in the second half this becomes positive, the current actually flows in this direction or it flows in this direction. Okay, so it is like bipolar, you have both the directions. Okay, so unipolar means the current always flows in along one direction. Okay, so you will get that flowing DC means it is flowing in only one direction. Current always flow along one direction. Now, where are these rectifiers required? The rectifiers are required in many appliances which require DC. Okay, all equipments which we use at home, they are all DC. Okay, so they require that stuff. Okay, so which means that you need DC for example, you see regulators being used in television at home, sometimes it is in a refrigerator, all electronic appliances, electrical appliances which we use day to day, they require DC. This is well known factor. Now, how do I get DC is actually is seen illustrated in this block diagram. So typically the line that we get, okay, this is the case in 120 volts is the case in USA and some western countries. In India we get in this range 220 to 220 volts typically with some fluctuations. Now this is the line voltage in India, line voltage, what the service provider gives us. But our appliances require, typically normally it requires only 20 volt. And sometimes, we require only 5 volt, like that. So these are the ranges we require. So to do that, and we want DC. So here it is an alternating signal, which means you have positive cycle and negative cycle. Whereas we want DC, and DC will give steady current, constant current, which means flowing in one direction. They won't alternate between the cycles. So to get there, to get to this level, we need first conversion of this AC into a DC, which is accomplished by a diode rectifier. The diodes are extremely useful and popular in constructing very nice rectifiers. Okay, so modern day also we use these diode rectifiers, and diode rectifiers are of different types, as we will see in this class. So what does it do? So when you provide, first of all, let us understand about this transformer. Transformer has a primary coil and a secondary coil. Depending on the ratio of the turns ratio, which means how many turns are there in secondary with respect to the primary, you multiply by the input voltage. Say, let us say my input is VI in the primary. So I say V primary VP, V primary. Okay, and if I multiply by number of turns in the secondary, NS by NP. Okay, which means secondary turns by primary turns, we will get the decide. So we can have a step-up transformer or step-down transformer. Okay, but when we apply in a rectifier circuit, what we get is, more importantly, this is the topic of interest. However, you should understand why the transformer is here. The transformer also provides some electrical isolation for the circuit. So it is very good in that sense. Okay, it isolates from the high line voltage also. So you have to see that here typically normally, since we need only 20 volt to 5 volt, which means I need to do step down. So 120 volt, typically say, let us say I want 8 volt, for example. If I want 8 volt, all I need to do is, I need to get this line voltage 120 volt in US, and I have to have a primary secondary ratio, okay, which means N1 to N2, I should have it as 15:1, which means N1 is around 15 and N2 is 1. So for 15 turns of N1, this is the what is called the turns ratio. With this, we can accomplish, because it is NS by NP, and NP being higher, we will have a step down. Okay, so step down we will get, and we will have this, because that happens through what is called the flux linkage, which you will learn in the next course in applied electromagnetics about this little more, and you must have learned it in fundamentals of electrical circuits also, electrical. So I will not get into the detail of this transformer, except that for the purpose of DC, which require only very small voltages, we need to use a step down transformer in such a manner that we get the desired voltage. So if I put 15, I will get 8. Now when I get this, apply it in the rectifier circuit, you see here the current is both in the positive cycle and the negative cycle, which means in the negative cycle the current goes in a opposite direction, but whereas here it goes in this direction. So this is positive, this is negative. So I want all positive, in which case the rectifier does that job for me perfectly. I can get all negative also by doing proper manipulation, I can get that. But the important point here is, you will get unipolar current. However, you note that this unipolar current, which means it is in the same direction, positive only, okay, it is pulsating, which means it is in pulses. So when you feed it in a filter circuit, there are different types of filters. You will get the typical filter is like a capacitor with capacitor and all you can construct, and those kind of filters can yield this kind of signal. Now from pulsating, what you see is more constant than, so this is without the filter, this is with the filter. So you can see a filter enables to get the pulsating current to a more constant current. However, there are what are known as ripples. So these are the ripples. These ripples, when it is along with this constant current, if my load wants actually very constant current like this, it doesn't like this, then I need to give this with a ripple in a voltage regulator circuit and get the current, constant current driven to the load, so that I get the desired voltage and desired current level through the load so that I get whatever required for the using in my appliance. So with that knowledge, we will only focus on the rectifier. That's the main thing. So let us focus on our rectifier. So rectifier circuit typically, because we have dealt more on the this one, if you see the circuit, this circuit looks familiar to us because we did clippers. But if you look at the way the clipper circuit and rectifier circuit, the diode and the resistor, the way they have been connected, they have been interchanged. The resistor was over here, the diode was over here. We always took output across here. So you have to understand the things are different the way we have connected the circuit. Now, what does this? So forget about this transfer characteristic and this thing, but already you might be able to understand what is there because we have taught in great depth. But still, I will go from the beginning. So this is my source. The source voltage alternates between positive and negative. Now it is fed to, so it is actually having alternating between positive and off cycle and negative off cycle. Now the diode, if it is an ideal diode, it will be shorted in the forward bias and it will be open in the reverse bias. But if it is a practical diode, which is constant voltage drop model, if it is a practical diode which is constant voltage drop model, then the forward voltage drop will be 0.7 volt typically. So the diode will start to conduct only when Vs is equal to or greater than 0.7 volt. So to write that, what I will write is my output will be there. V output will be there. V output will be always the forward, the total voltage minus it is taken across the R. So what will be the voltage? You apply the Kirchhoff's stuff, KVL, you will get V0 minus this one minus V out will be equivalent to 0. So V out will be equivalent to Vs minus Vd for V, I will tell you for Vs greater than or equal to Vd. That is when it starts to get the voltage driven. Okay, so this as far as the forward bias. Now, what about the reverse bias? Reverse bias, it will not. So, for all voltages less than Vd, for all voltages less than Vd, V out will be 0. Okay, so for all voltages less than Vd, V out will be 0. So, this is the output. Nature of output that we get. So what does that tell you? In the reverse bias, the diode does not conduct. So there won't be naturally, this is taken across, there is no current. It is open circuit, no current, and it is grounded, and V out will be taken across R. Therefore, since there is no current, you will get 0. So what it means is, to draw this, you have to understand clearly, we need minimum to hit 0.7. For all voltages below 0.7, for all voltages below 0.7, the diode does not conduct. So, if you look at the, first let us look at the transfer characteristic, which we are familiar. The output is drawn along the y-axis, the input along the x-axis. So, for all the other things, we will see that the V out will be following the input with a slope 1. So this will be, so at 0.7 it will be 0, but after for Vs equal to, so moment it crosses there, you will start to see the output across the R, and so therefore you will get this. So you can, for example, play with say 5 sin omega t, 10 sin omega t, and try to understand this. You will get always this signal. We have taught that very well. Now this also we have come across in a problem, and we know that we don't get an output. So what does that tell you? Conclusion. Conclusion is output is non-zero in only one half of the input signal. What does that, what do we have got? What do we have achieved? We have achieved actually unipolar pulsating output. So, which means we have got a DC. Although this is not the ideal DC we may require, we may have to put this signal. So the black one is the input. So once it crosses 0.7, it starts to conduct. Now, because there will be a voltage drop across this, so this voltage drop, it will be 0.7. So let us say I have say Vs equal to, the peak voltage is say VSP is like the input voltage is typically say 5. I will get 4.3 at this point peak. So my V output peak will be 4.3. Okay, so that is what the VD, the voltage drop across that. Now we know that it starts to conduct when this voltage is hitting 0.7. So when the input as a function of time hits 0.7, the diode starts conducting. Okay, so that is it. Very simple. With that, we will have this. Fine. So this is exactly what it is. So I hope you understand this very clearly. Now I want to tell two facts here. So those two facts will line it up. What are those two facts? I will tell you. In the design of rectifier, in the design of rectifier, two parameters are important. One is, we want to ultimately use this rectifier in delivering certain DC power to the load. Okay, therefore we need to get certain current level. So we must understand we must understand the, or we must have the knowledge, understand the highest or current or largest is better, largest current that the diode can take under forward bias, can handle under forward bias. This is very important. That is when it is conducting, current handling capacity of the diode. The second one that we need to know is what is called peak inverse voltage. This is also another understanding that we need to No, this parameter is to be understood. PIV. What is this PIV value? PIV stands for the maximum voltage that can be applied, okay, across the diode, that can be applied. In fact, I will say maximum voltage that can be applied, okay, that can be applied without the diode entering into breakdown region, avalanche breakdown for a general purpose diode. You should ensure, because think about this characteristic, here it is 0. Here we have only this level, 0.7 volt. So 0 up till this level, and here it is 0.7. So we should ensure the diode is a open circuit. Okay, it should not get into the breakdown region. So that is the idea. So the maximum voltage the diode is expected to withstand without entering into breakdown is the peak inverse voltage. Now how much peak inverse voltage? So that voltage will be equivalent to, in this case, you look at here, under reverse bias, the peak inverse voltage is very clearly in the reverse bias, okay, in the, that is when this terminal is positive and this is negative, the diode will be not conducting. That is under the reverse bias. So what will be the voltage that will be there? So across the diode. So because it will be non-conducting, all of that voltage it should be able to withstand without allowing any current to enter. So if I were to see that, because this is grounded, there is no current that flows through. So this point is grounded, which means here this is negative, this is positive. So which means my peak inverse voltage will be equivalent to this Vs. Okay. So peak inverse voltage is the voltage that happens in the reverse bias. So this diode should be open circuited. So if it is open circuit and if I keep applying, the diode should not have entered into breakdown. Therefore, the current, the voltage output is always maintained 0. So for 0, which means it is shorted. So this is plus. So plus is over here under the reverse bias condition. But this negative terminal at the cathode, it is having a Vs. But here it is 0. So it will be peak inverse voltage will be Vs minus 0. That will be Vs. Okay. So for a half wave rectifier, PIV is Vs. Typically, if you ask me, PIV should be the breakdown voltage. You should choose a diode. Let me write it. You should choose a diode. You should choose a diode in your design. Diode in your design that has a breakdown voltage at least 50% greater than 50% PIV. So what does that tell you? So if my PIV is, for example, let us assume my PIV is say 100 volt for an example. So I must have the breakdown voltage, okay, VZ. We generally write the symbol Z, although it is Zener. We also, for breakdown, we always talk about in terms of, because he was the one to first tell about this breakdown stuff. So Zener, VZ value, that is the breakdown voltage, should be at least equivalent to 150 volt. 50% higher than this PIV. So 50% of 100 is 50. So breakdown voltage must be 150. So as long as my input is within this 100 volt, I will never be entering the breakdown. Therefore, I will be having ensuring this kind of behavior in the transfer characteristic. Okay, so that is about the half wave rectifier. Now go to the full wave rectifier. In the full wave rectifier, see, one problem with half wave rectifier is we are able to get the output signal in only one half of the cycle. So one cycle is completely, this is one half cycle, this is the other half cycle up to here. Now only in one half of the cycle we get the output. So the other half cycle is completely wasted. So it is a real waste in terms of energy efficiency for rectification. So seldom half wave rectifier is used, except that we understand that how does a half wave rectifier behave. What normally one uses in circuits is a full wave rectifier. A full wave rectifier is accomplished obviously by at least minimum 2 diodes. Okay, so I use the word at least here because there is also another configuration which you must have been aware from your high school, what is known as the bridge rectifier. So full wave rectifier uses 2 diodes. Now the diode is actually connected to the center tap transformer, and we already told you this is my line voltage to the primary. Through the flux linkage on the secondary we get. Now this kind of transformer is what is known as a center tap winding. What if you ask for a transformer, typically normally with the center tap winding, standard voltages are available are 606, 12, What it means is there will be 3 terminals. Okay, in the center tap transformer there will be 3 terminals in the secondary. In the primary coil you have 2 terminals. So the 2 terminals, across the 2 terminals of the primary, you connect to the line and get the input to the transformer. In the 3 turns, the 2 turns are for alternating between the positive. So you will get either current will go through this or current will go through this. The center tap is usually grounded, as shown here also. So this center tap is going and getting grounded here. So how is this accomplished? In all practical purposes, you have in the secondary coil, you have 2, instead of 2, a single secondary won't be there. There will be 2 coils. It will be wound in such a manner that the direction of the current is along the input, which means when it alternates, here also it will be. So the 2, and then the 2 secondaries in the one of the, so each secondary will have 2 ends. So one end from one secondary and the other end from another end from another secondary, both of them will be commonly tapped and taken to the ground. So that is called center tapping. So you will be able to accomplish 606 or 12. So which means 12. Okay, 606. Now what is the advantage over here? The advantage is when I use that kind of transformer, we can actually get the only one diode on. Okay, so let us talk about this. if you understand this center tap transformer, okay, then you will see in one half of the positive input cycle, here it will be plus, whereas as far as this diode is concerned, that will be in the reverse bias. So only one diode will be forward bias, which means, and the other diode will be reverse bias. Okay, so you have, when this D1 is on in one half of the cycle, that will be when this fellow is positive, the P terminal is connected to the positive, therefore D1 will be on, the current will flow in this direction in the positive cycle, in the positive half cycle. So what is a full cycle? From here to here is my full cycle. So this A, B, I mark the point C. From A to B in the input, only D1 will be on. And the current will flow like this. And here, the current, this diode is under reverse bias. It won't allow any current to flow through. So the current will flow through the resistor in this direction, and the circuit will be completed because the center tap is grounded. So it comes back like that. Now, so this is one half of the cycle. When this alternates, here also alterations will happen at the secondary, and the current now in the second half, so in the negative, which means here this terminal will become positive. When this terminal becomes positive, this diode will be on. So when D2 is on in the other half, D1 will be off. D1 will be off. So when D2 is on in the other half of the cycle, other half of the input cycle, D1 will be off. When D1 is on, D2 will be off. So with that idea, which means you are able to get only one diode kicked on in a full wave rectifier, which means in the positive half, the output will come from D1 because the current will flow like this. Now in the second half, this terminal acquires a positive, which means the P is connected to positive, D2 will be under forward bias, the current will flow in this direction in the other this thing, and the current will go like this. So this, let us say, in the positive this thing, this will be in the negative direction. When as far as I put the plus and minus with respect to my input. Okay, so try to understand that. So this is my one half of the cycle. In the second half of the cycle, I have the current that flows like this, and I will have still the current. It goes like this, and there is no connection. Only where the solid dots are there, that is where it is connected. So here there is no connections. So don't get confused. Okay, the wire just goes above that, and it will be, current will be flowing through the R again in the same direction. So that will be from top to bottom. So either way, whether D1 is on or D2 is on, the direction of the current flow across R will be only from top to bottom as shown in this figure. So which means again we are accomplishing what is known as unipolar pulsating current. So which means rectification is happening. So output is only, even though the input is having both positive and negative, the output is only in the positive half, positive part, which means we are able to accomplish rectification with the two diodes and in both the cycles by suitably connecting. Therefore, again, when D1 is on, let us talk about the transfer characteristic. When D1 is on, you will see that the output across R will be Vs minus Vd. Okay, where Vd is 0.7 volt. So up to 0.7 volt, there won't be any conduction. After 0.7 volt, it will start to conduct. D1 will start to conduct when D2 is off. So whatever be the input signal, whatever be the input from the secondary, that input will be, that is what is written as Vs here. Whatever be the input from the secondary, that input will be followed after that 0.7 volt. Now, similarly, when D2 is on in the other half of the cycle, the output will be across R will be Vs, because this now it has acquired positive, Vs minus Vd. Therefore, again you will have, now you look at here, it is not coming here, it is in the second quadrant. The reason, it is unipolar. So rectification is, even though we got pulsating, but the important thing is the current flows through the resistor only along one certain direction. That is what is process of rectification. Okay, so now again we must understand what is the peak inverse voltage, because when D1 is, to achieve this kind of transfer characteristic, when D1 is on, D2 must be off. So whatever voltage that we are applying in the reverse bias, that voltage should not exceed the breakdown voltage of this diode 2. So how do I find that? So when D1 is conducting, this voltage will be, what will be this voltage? This voltage will be V out. V out. Okay. Now, this fellow here will be seeing that out V out voltage. Okay. So the cathode of D2. Okay. So consider only one half of the cycle. So let me put it in another. I will write it for you so that you don't forget. We'll finish in 5 minutes. So when D1 is on, you can consider either way, it doesn't matter. When D1 is on, D2 must be off. So it must be off means, okay, let me write it in capital, must be off. So which means the voltage or the potential rather at the cathode of D2, D2 must be V0, because that is the output that is coming out of over there. Okay, so voltage at the cathode must be V0. So our aim is to find, don't forget to find PIV. What is PIV? PIV is the peak inverse voltage, the maximum voltage the diode can take without entering into breakdown region. So voltage at the cathode of D2 must be V0. Now what about this terminal? What about the anode of D2? So we need to understand this potential drop across D2. Okay, so this fellow is source. So this will have Vs voltage source. So if you understand here, it will be minus Vs because we are looking at the reverse bias. So this is going, when this is positive, this will be negative. When this is negative, this will be, when this is positive, this will be negative. When this is positive, this will be negative. But we are now considering only one half of the cycle. So which means one half of the cycle when we consider, actually we have to see, that is consider the situation where D2 must be off. So the voltage at the anode means P terminal of D2, because that is how we can find. So what is the voltage drop across D2 when D2 is off or under reverse bias? That is our aim. That will tell what is the peak inverse voltage that the diode can withstand without entering into breakdown. So voltage at the cathode of D2 must be V0 when D1 is on, because the way we have connected the circuit. Because this terminal, the cathode is seeing this voltage. It is connected there. Look at my mark pen here, indicator. So it is connected here. So therefore, that voltage will be seen at the cathode. Now what about this one? This is under reverse bias. So under reverse bias, this will be seeing a minus Vs. So voltage at the anode will be minus Vs as D2 is under reverse bias. So which means the peak inverse voltage is under reverse bias, will be the potential difference. What will be the potential difference? There will be negative minus positive, that is because it is inverse under inverse voltage, therefore it will be V0 minus of minus Vs, that will be equivalent to V0 plus Vs. Now what is Vs? What is V0? What is V0? V0 is the output in one half of the cycle. So what will be the value of V0? V0 will be Vs minus Vd. V0 equal to Vs minus Vd. So substituting 2 in 1, we get V0, peak inverse voltage will be equivalent to, 2 Vs minus Vd. So what does that tell you? So it tells you Vd is 0.7 always for constant voltage drop model. Vs is, say for example, I want to construct only 8 volt I am giving, so it will be 16 minus 0.7. Okay, so Vs is 8. So standard voltage rating, let us take 606. I take a center tap transformer, then I will have 2 into 6, 12 minus 0.7. That will be equivalent to 11.3 volt. So peak inverse voltage for with that kind of transformer, I will get 11.3. So I must have an idea about what I am giving as the input, so that will be ensuring that this 11.3 volt, at least your diode breakdown voltage must be much greater than this 11.3, at least minimum in this case it will be 16 volt as a thumb rule. So this is my breakdown voltage. This must be the way it should be taken. So we just cannot buy a make a rectifier and a DC supply just like that. We have to understand the knowledge about the diode parameters. Okay, very important. That is why reading specifications before buying a diode for a certain application is very essential. Okay, so with that I will end today's lecture. We'll continue tomorrow. I'll take the bridge rectifier tomorrow. Okay, then we'll see.